it's a lot easier as a married guy now because all the relationships that I have with women are platonic relationships.
Like, let's say it's in like a sphere. Do you think there's an end to it? You can only go so far.
You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten to a point where like that light will never reach us.
It's conspiratorial. It's
Pretty obvious.
yeah. This is something because I can't see why a guy would off himself in that position unless they're.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Two Couch Talk.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
everybody,
Hey.
welcome back.
Episode number 15,
Number
right?
15, that's right.
Dang.
We're hitting big numbers now.
Dude,
we're big boys now,
I
you know?
can't believe it's been that long.
I know. It's
That's
like,
crazy.
look at you. Your hair's longer. I got full beard now.
Everybody's getting a little older,
Yeah, a
little
older,
wiser.
little wiser.
Alex definitely has more gray hair now.
Yeah, but that's that was going to be a thing one way or the other.
Yeah, regardless of what direction you take it. So anyways, so we're going to start the show off today. Of course, I am your host. Remember, got to get those numbers up for this side of the couch. On that side.
That's
Just,
trash.
we're just putting it out there. Alex wants
The
your
white
numbers to go
couch is
too. You
bad.
don't let Alex down. He's a humanitarian. Remember, he was saving seals and walruses. There we go.
Yeah. Penguins.
And penguins. That's
Mhm.
where you're up to when you're off. You're out saving the world.
Yeah.
you know.
Last week when you weren't here.
It's just
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay,
cool. Definitely.
making the world a better place,
Better
Exactly.
And,
one animal at a time.
doing all the good work.
All the good-
Exactly.
the humanitarian
We
work.
appreciate you. We really
Sure.
do.
Thanks,
He's-
everybody. It's a pleasure to serve.
You know. So with that being said, I'm GaVinci Raw. I'm here with the other host,
Jared Mannche.
this guy, and also too the greatest guy in the world right here, Alex Busta.
After my 1 week hiatus,
Yeah,
good to be
1
back,
week,
guys.
Yeah. So with that being started, we're gonna start it off with me. This one's gonna be a good one. I want to see what your guys' reaction is, and you guys at home, especially you guys at home too. All right, can a man and a woman have a strictly platonic relationship? All right. So with that being said, 8 minutes starts now. And the reason why I say it like that is because the person who brought it up said that men and women cannot have a strictly platonic relationship. A woman will always have an emergency guy or emergency dick, excuse my French, who's in the friend zone, and they'll bring him out of the friend zone for that one moment when they need that emergency dick. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, so on the flip side, the guy for the girls, I was like, pretty much all the girls who I had just as friends, there was a good percentage of them, honestly, I would have broke that rule for them, if it came down to it. But I'm like, I mean, I had like one or two, but that was just like, because I saw them as little sisters and stuff, so it's just, what do you guys think about it? Especially you, Alex, because I know you're married, so it made me curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my side of it is like I definitely I wouldn't say that I think that men and women can have platonic relationships. Like I know they can, because I am very good friends with a lot of my wife's friends. She's really good friends with a lot of my guy friends, and that's never really bothered either of us because we know exactly what it's about. With us being married, and we communicate a lot and everything like that, so we're very good at kind of knowing where each other's at and what our marriage is, and that we're always going to be there for each other and never for anybody else in the same way, because that's your one person. You've met, you've linked with them for life, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to build your lives together. So I have platonic relationships with all of her female friends who I've met and everything like that, because they're really cool people. Obviously I'm a fan of my wife's judgment of character, because she picked me.
Hey.
But so I mean, there's really not anybody who I can think of off the top of my head that she is friends with or she likes that I dislike, and vice versa. And you know, a lot of ladies are gonna have lady friends, a lot of guys are gonna have guy friends, and it can be seen kind of weird for some reason for people to have friends of the other. Because a lot of people wonder that, like, are you just building towards something, or are you guys just gonna stay friends? But the funny thing about that, of course, is like the way me and my wife met. We were incredibly good friends at first, too.
True.
So this I guess my answer's kind of turned into a mixed bag, because back when I was single and my wife and I, my friend and I were just being friends. And then it did end up developing to something a lot bigger and more meaningful, but neither of us were really counting on that or depending on it. It just kind of materialized, and we finally noticed what was going on. So that's a hard thing to answer. It's a lot easier as a married guy now, because all the relationships that I have with women are platonic relationships, because, of course, I've got my wife. She's my number one. I love her incredibly.
Yeah.
But I guess in the single realm, yeah, like my wife and I met as friends, so
I think it's about perspective.
Okay.
It's just like Alex said, you know, if you're in a relationship already, it can happen. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Or maybe like I have a few female friends that I've known for like my entire life, and my parents are really good friends with their parents, and they've known each other for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think about trying to like build a relationship with them any more than just being friends.
Yeah.
I don't know, that seems kind of weird.
Sure, but then,
but it being like, okay, let's say it's a one night stand. You guys are really good friends, so she feels comfortable with you. And you wouldn't break the friendship per se. You would just kind of put a hope for it, right, for that split second to mess around or whatever, to make you guys feel better, you know, quote unquote. And then you guys are back friends again, and that's all it was. And it doesn't mean you guys are friends with benefits now, just that one moment, whatever.
that sounds like something you described, something that I've seen go very wrong in like hundreds of movies.
That's what I was about to say, and ultimately, but more or less, yeah. Like, basically, if that was presented to you on a table, like, would you be like, no, you know, I only see you as a friend, blah, blah, blah? Or would you be like, yeah, you know, we're okay. We're going to be friends after this anyway, so what's the difference?
No, I'd probably say no.
That's pretty good of you.
I'd probably say no.
Sex complicates things.
It does.
It really
Especially
does.
It really does.
In that particular arena, like when you throw that physical act right in the middle of it, there's no stepping back from it. You've hit that
you've hit the
level
peak.
there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, what do we do? What do we do now?
What do we do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we've seen each other naked now, and I can't never get the image out of my head. Thank God.
So I think it depends on, like, if you're single, you know, like in Alex's case, when he became friends with his wife, he was kind of looking for a relationship, like not super seriously, but like you wanted to be married, you know, you wanted to to have a relationship with a female.
And I you know, while my wife and I were friends, I never thought about it, because we didn't have that type of relationship. So I was dating a lady here, a lady there, and, and she was was dating one or two guys too. So we knew we were friends with each other while we had those other like romantic relationships going on with other people.
Exactly.
Wow.
So like that's a platonic relationship. That
I was gonna say, by definition, you literally you described it.
So I think it just depends on the situation. You know, if you're in a relationship, it's a lot easier. Some people can't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah. That's how you have infidelity happen.
Exactly.
Yep, that's
which
true.
is absolute shit. That's a topic for another day.
That's a topic for another day.
That's a hard one.
And
no pun intended.
But like, if you're single and like looking for a relationship, you know, I think you basically assume that almost every female that you come in contact with could be a potential relationship.
Sure. And I guess it depends on how much of a priority finding a relationship is, or if it's just like something, if it's not a super huge priority and it's just like, oh, you know, I would take that if it came along, then maybe the women that you meet you would have less of that idea towards it because it's not such a focus in your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think platonic relationships are awesome. Like, you find the right people to have them with, because I mean, you know, obviously opposite gender is going to have different perspective on different things, and like people need more perspective than just their own to round themselves out as an individual and develop as a person. So it's like, it's important to have friends of the opposite sex.
That is it, ladies and gentlemen. 8 minutes. Would you gentlemen like to use your 5?
No, I'm good.
I'm okay.
All right. I think we kind of hit the nail on the head. But with that being said, we would really love to hear a woman's perspective on there. So comment below, please. We really appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Notification bell.
Times that it's worked out really well, times that it's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, horribly. Unfortunately, I've been in relationships where it's gone horribly wrong. But, I mean, we're done with that topic. Let's move on. So, with that being said, we're going to start with Jared. What would you like to talk about today, Mr. Mannche?
All right. Oh, so I hope your brains are ready for this one. This one's kind of a...
Were we discussing quantum physics here or string theory?
No. We're going to be discussing the universe.
I'm pretty close to what I just said, but all right. Universe. All right, so 8 minutes starts now. Would you care to elaborate on the universe?
Okay. Do you guys think that there is an end to the universe? Like, let's say it's in like a sphere. Do you think there's an end to it? You could only go so far?
You mean under the circumstances of like our universe?
Yes.
No, because they already shown all the universes outside of our solar system and everything.
No.
No, you're talking about
galaxies.
Galaxies, that is
The
true.
universe is the whole thing.
The whole universe existence.
And that said it right there. The universe is the whole thing. That's it. I
So-
do not believe there's anything that exists outside of it. If you're talking about different I do believe there are different dimensions that take place in our universe, parallel universes, but I don't believe, like, as far as if you're talking about like just space, like outer space. No, I mean, it's it's been proven that it's still, everything's still expanding out and out and out, and that means that it has that freedom of motion to be able to expand out and out and out. And with time being going on as long as it has,
Yeah,
God knows how long,
exactly.
Like, if you figure if there was an edge of the universe that we would know about, it's like when people used to fear that they would sail off of the edge of the world before Columbus came over and
shout out to the flat earthers out there.
Yeah.
Sorry guys.
It's not.
But
man.
but I mean, that's the thing, is like, people used to believe that you could sail just right off the edge of the earth, and it's all from the fear of the unknown, because nobody knew what was over there, at least nobody in that part of the world. So I mean, I don't think that there is any end to it. I believe it's just a totally infinite thing.
Okay. So
because truth be told, I agree with Alex. Like,
yeah,
it's we gotten to a point where where we have these massive scopes to be able to see beyond our capability of human eyes. So it's like, that is incredible, but also too, it's like there's no, I get where you're coming from, because I know what you're gonna say probably next, is there's no definitive yes or no, because we haven't never been there. So since not, it's like the whole premise of, if a tree falls in the woods, do you hear it or not? If there's no one there to hear it, kind of the same general philosophy of, is there anything out there? Because we have never experienced it, nor has anyone that we're aware of in existence, like outside of our own solar system and planets, do we aware of, like, some, maybe there's some we would call them aliens, but they're not. Some different planet in a different solar system would tell us, oh yeah, we went this way, but it never ends, or something like that. We have no dictation of reality of yes or no. It's a gray area. It's a 50-50. But truth be told, I do believe it goes on infinitely.
Okay. So I would agree with you guys that it just goes on forever. I read like an article or something that said that the universe is expanding faster the farther it gets out, even though from the center of the Big Bang, it should be pretty fast, or it should slow down. The universe has been around for about 14 billion years, right? 14 or 40? I think it's 14. I think it's 14 billion years. And so you would think after all that time, it would slow down at the edges. Like it would start like maybe coming too close to a stop.
See, but that's where you get into actual physics, which is going to state that in space there's nothing to there. What would pull, or what would get in the way and cause something like that to slow down? Just doesn't really exist out there. It was Einstein that said an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an outside force, and an object in motion will remain in motion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, unless acted on by an outside force. And it's true, you could say like, oh, well, the planets themselves, or whatever large masses are out there, should be pulling on other things as they're trying to go out to kind of pull them back. The gravity would be doing it. But we're talking, again, theoretically, an infinite amount of space. And if everything expanded from the center of it, which that's an interesting thing. How do you have a center of an infinite amount of space?
That's immediately what question popped in my head, too.
But that's a whole other thing. This stuff's been expanding out and out for so long that none of that stuff's going to be close enough to one another to act upon it in any kind of significant way. So yeah, if it's cruising along and nothing's messing with it, nothing's giving it drag or getting in its way or pulling it this way or that, it's just gonna keep going
infinitely, right? Like logically, infinitely, just it will never end.
Because in the article it was saying that the telescopes that they use have gotten to a point where they can see like light at wait, how am I supposed to word this? Like they
quantums?
they can't see light older than the universe was made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like they've seen, millions and millions of light years away what's happening because it took that long for the light to get to our telescopes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten to a point where like that light will never reach us before like the world ends or something like that.
Gotcha.
Because of the dictation of the push out. Okay.
It's like the universe like horizon almost.
So it's like there's things that we can't find out if they exist because
it's gone. Those galaxies and those stars have gone too far.
Right, and the time it would take for any of that any way that we could perceive they were there would be far too long and would be over and done with. That's interesting.
We see supernovas and stuff from stars exploding millions of years ago, and they've been dead for millions and millions of years, but we're just now finding out about it.
Right.
Because the light just has taken that long to hit our telescopes. So what I wanted to, another topic that really interests me is dark matter.
Okay.
So do you guys know anything about like dark matter?
The only thing I was aware of is that haven't they been able to actually create it here on Earth?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay.
No, it's something that theorists say exists in space, and it has some kind of effect, but I don't remember what.
It's like it takes up a very, I think it's like 20% or something, maybe more, of the universe, and it affects matter in weird ways that
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. 8 minutes is up. Would you either you gentlemen like to use your 5 to continue talking about the universe?
I'm good.
I'll be all right.
All right.
All right.
So we're good. All right. So that was the universe, ladies and gentlemen. If we have any physicists or people who study this type of type of things, please comment below. Blow our minds. We would really appreciate that. We would love to learn something new that we didn't know. And with that being said, we're on to Alex Busta.
Alex Busta.
So what would you like to discuss today?
Well, I came up between 2 topics, and I'm going to go with the one that's kind of a little bit more current, which would be the Jeffrey Epstein suicide.
All right. Jeffrey Epstein suicide. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to comment and talk about this, so please do it below. All right, 8 minutes starts now.
Which, and this is, I mean, it's going to be one of those things that, this show is obviously for difference of opinion and debate and things
Absolutely.
like that. We don't want to agree on everything all the time because, Lord, does that get boring. Because who wants to see 3 dudes just sitting around talking, always getting along about every single thing? That's why these guys fight, and it's fun.
Exactly.
But I mean, this is one of those things that is hard to. It's hard to assume that we're gonna differ on opinion. So obviously, the little background, Jeffrey Epstein, super wealthy, super influential. He was basically, in a nutshell, convicted of sex trafficking to a bunch of political and Hollywood elite. Wealthy, rich, same thing. Famous, influential people, very important people in our world.
And I heard the most recent thing they found about him is that a lot of it was child traffic laboring.
It was child. It was mostly minor. Anyways, so he's had dealings with all these people, these influential people, including, I believe, there was some connection with him and Trump, him and the Clintons, him and a bunch of people in Hollywood. This guy was convicted and sentenced to prison. He's put on suicide watch because he had attempted to commit suicide prior. And when he was when the files for all that was going to be open, he was going to start being able to name names. Turns up in a jail cell, dead.
And they said it was suicide.
Of suicide.
Yeah.
Sure. So that is, in my opinion, that is just probably one of the most blatant acts of I have a hard time calling it a conspiracy theory because I don't think that it's I don't think it's conspiratorial. It's
pretty obvious.
Yeah. This is something because I can't see why a guy would off himself in that position unless there was far worse coming to him, what's going to be worse than being in a federal prison and basically.
Exactly. And he was an old dude, and that's a serious crime, so he was probably just going to die in prison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess is what happened, but you're talking about years and years later.
Yeah.
And
nobody could touch him.
So it's far, far too convenient that right when they were going to be able to start making connections between him and his illicit business and all of these influential people in the world, the guy just turns up dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about that is, it's a kind of a twofold thing. One, nobody's sad that he's dead. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that, other than the fact that he was he wasn't able to remain alive and to take down all of these other people with him, which I would have loved to see.
That would have been great.
Because it's at least some amount of justice for this that trafficking world that you don't hear about a ton, but there's rings and shit like this set up. It's not just in America. It's probably it's all over the world.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a super horrible thing, but the people who take part in it and
and benefit from it. And
our clientele and are able to make it into the evil industry that it is. They need to be taken down. They need to get theirs. And one bullet, one payoff, one whatever, just cut all those ties between this convicted felon criminal and all these people who, you know, we may or may not ever find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess one of my questions would be, what do you guys think? How do you think this is going to get played off? You know, I mean, with the exception of the suicide, which is just a ridiculous farce.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
What do you think? A lot of people are looking at the Clintons as a big, because a lot of people around the Clintons who would have had stuff to say about them keep turning up dead.
Jeez.
It's thematic.
It's not like that happened in the election.
No. What I think is going to happen is that they're literally going to just leave it alone.
Nobody's going to say anything?
No one's going to say nothing. It's going to be ruled as a suicide, and then it's just going to slowly go away on its own.
Okay.
And then they're going to chalk it up to conspiracy theorists, continuously trying to bring it back up until they finally just say, well, there's this conspiracy theory to the point where it becomes one. You know, it just falls into the cracks of just a literal obvious... some they're obvious, but no one says nothing about it, and it just became a conspiracy theory, and then they just got swept under the rug, and it just went away. I hate to say that. I don't want to say that. Like, trust me, I don't want to say that. Like, I'd rather there be some real, honest to God justice. I mean, unfortunately, it's just like you know how it goes. There's three sides to every story. There's their side, and then there's just the truth.
What actually happened.
What actually happened.
Yep.
And the truth always ends up getting slipped into the cracks and disappears because this side and this side,
Yeah, they kind of bend it to fit
to their favor, and
exactly. So, I don't mean to make this like political, but do you know what if he was like associated with a certain party?
No, I mean what he did was provide.
Because, I mean, my thing is that it could be. It depends on who he was selling to,
or who he's associated with,
and who he was associated with, how high they are, if they're trying to run for president, if they are judges or something, or
high elected officials.
High elected officials.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, stuff like that.
But like those people, they want to protect their position and everything, and especially if let's say one of them is like a candidate for or trying to run for president in 2020, like they're that would send them to jail, obviously.
Shout out to Bernie Sanders.
But it would ruin, their careers and everything.
Oh, instantly. Yeah. They would instantly go from this public figure to instant criminal, and everyone wants a noose around their neck and hanging from a tree, like they want them gone.
Exactly. Like my point in asking if he was associated with a party is because most of the time news companies kind of favor a certain party.
Media outlets are definitely biased towards one way or another.
Exactly.
And a lot of that depends on who owns it, or
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's because if it was, let's say he was like,
that's it, ladies and gentlemen. 8 minutes is up. Would you gentlemen like to use your fire to continue this?
No, because I'm gonna get roasted in the comments if I continue. So.
I mean, you look like you had a good angle going, but that's up to you.
I'm good.
All right. I think I'm good too.
That's a hard thing to talk
it's
about.
Hard.
Honestly, I'm really just a quick, like, it's not going on, but I'm very happy that son of a bitch is dead. That kind of thing, because that's one of the most evil things that happens throughout our entire world.
Exactly.
Is the exploitation of underage or helpless individuals, and in such a horrible way. That guy absolutely deserved to die. He is probably currently burning in whatever hell you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so frustrating that we had, you know, even though he was a bag of shit, we had somebody who could have been so close.
Yeah, who could have been really helpful
to blowing the lid off of something that is going on and is being perpetuated, you know, in whispers throughout Hollywood, throughout Washington and stuff like that. And it's just so frustrating that the people who are watching this were so close to getting some kind of vindication, and it just dropped out because one guard got paid off, or you know, something like that.
Some
or
guards,
because he decided to commit suicide.
Quote unquote.
One of the funniest things I saw on the internet about that was like, yeah, everybody was surprised about Jeff Epstein's suicide, especially Jeff Epstein.
Absolutely.
He was really shocked.
So that's my 2 cents. That's what I have to say.
And, well,
I guess that's it.
That's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Episode 15.
Appreciate it.
You know, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell, all that good stuff. But without a doubt, we did talk on, without a doubt, 2 really good ones. I really do think you guys should comment below and discuss those. And the strictly platonic one, that one's just more like a fun food for thought type situation. Or even if you were ever put in a situation where because there's a ton of guys I know are 100% I'm well aware of, because hell, I've been one of them, who were put in the friend zone and stayed strictly platonic, but really they actually did like the girl and they continued liking the girl, and they were hoping that one of the days they would be pulled out of it. But that's for a different time. Anyways, so with that being said, you guys, really appreciate you coming out. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And well, you guys have yourself a great night, and we'll see you on episode 16.
Yeah.
And we getting high numbers on my show.
No, we'll get high numbers on the odds. That's the host of me, you know, and then Alex is on my side. So, bleh. Anyways, with that being said,
brown couch is the way to go, man.
Oh, man. I don't want to say what couch we're saying on. Anyways, you guys have yourself a good one. We'll see you guys next time for the next one. Peace.
Peace.